The U.S., Canada, Spain, Greece, and Italy have all shuttered their embassies in Kyiv today amid fears that Russia will carry out a high-intensity air attack. Diplomats there are being warned to take extraordinary security measures and find shelter, while any U.S. citizens who are currently there are being told to remain vigilant and monitor for updates. All of this comes in the wake of the West's approval to use long-range missiles to strike deep into Russian territory.
Day 1001 of Russia's invasion into Ukraine began with air raid sirens sounding throughout Kyiv, one day after the U.S. approved the use of Western missile platforms to strike deep within Russian territory, a move that some say will only have an incremental gain in the war.
Well, I don't think we should kid ourselves that this is a panacea, but this will win Ukraine the war. The reality is this is a little bit like incremental gains that you sometimes hear about in sport. Every little bit helps, but no single new innovation into the Ukrainian battlefield will do the trick. Storm shadows have a slightly longer range, but the reality is that Ukraine needs quantity rather than quality, or even range. The range of both missiles is enough to get behind Russian lines and into Russian infrastructure targets.
But still, fear lingers over Russia's response to the decision, amid reports that it was planning to carry out a large-scale aerial bombardment in retaliation. Reports that Ukrainian intelligence have dubbed a massive psychological attack by Russia, aimed at stoking fear.
To put it bluntly, the Russians have been threatening nuclear attacks since the first week of the war. They've done this repeatedly, and it's always turned out to be a bluff. And it's certain to be a bluff in this case. By closing their embassies, the US and others are simply kind of fanning the flames of panic.
But that bluff may be the most serious yet. Yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin revised his country's nuclear doctrine that makes allowances for nuclear retaliation in response to conventional attacks. And as the Biden administration's time begins to run out, the Overton window for what's tolerable on the battlefield begins to shift.
Later today, the White House will be announcing additional security assistance for Ukraine worth up to $275 million to meet critical battlefield needs, and that will include munitions for rocket systems and artillery, and anti-tank weapons.
In addition to the latest aid package, the U.S. says it's now allowing Ukraine to make use of anti-personnel mines in an effort to slow Russia's advancing ground forces. A concession on a red line that until recently could not be crossed.
Basically, I think the U.S. under Biden will simply try to get the Ukrainians all the military equipment that they have long ago already committed, which the Congress has approved a long time ago and which the Biden administration was dragging its feet on. So it's just a question of actually fulfilling the commitments that the U.S. has made to Ukraine and getting that done before Trump comes to office.
As for incumbent President Donald Trump and how he plans to handle Ukraine, that remains to be seen. But the former president has gone on record saying he would resolve the conflict quickly. Whether that means concessions for Ukraine and its territory or a strong negotiation at the table with Putin, only time will tell. While Russia's revision to its nuclear deterrence policy may seem scary, the expert I spoke to today said he's certain it's nothing more than theater, and that in all likelihood, the Russian president is only buying himself more time, anticipating a deal with Donald Trump taking office and striking himself something better.